It's time for a Wellness Revolution. Brought to you by Hotze Health and Wellness Center. Honest discussion on maintaining health and wellness naturally to enjoy a better quality of life.
He's the doctor fighting to let you keep your doctorate.
Now, Dr. Stephen Hotze. Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution podcast is brought to you by Physicians Preference Pharmacy, formerly Hotze Pharmacy.
Welcome to Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution. I'm Stacey Banfield here with Dr. Stephen Hotze, founder of the Hotze Health and Wellness Center. And if you haven't already done so, you can always go to our podcast library. Check us out at hotzepodcast.com. That's Hotze podcast.com. We have a wonderful lady and physician, a real pioneer, a trailblazer, just like Dr. Hotze, Dr. Erika Schwartz, and find out about what she has done to help advance natural approaches to health. Dr. Hotze.
Thanks so much, Stacey, and thank each one of you for joining us here today. I believe that each one of you needs to have a physician and a staff of professionals who can coach you onto a path of health and wellness naturally. So as you mature, you've got energy, vitality, and enthusiasm for life. Isn't that what it's about? That's what we want to have. And I'm so pleased today to have a longtime friend and ally of mine, Dr. Erika Schwartz, who offices in New York City. And Dr. Schwartz is a mover and shaker in natural approaches to health, particularly in the area of bioidentical hormone therapy. And she's written numerous books. What was the first book you wrote? That was the...
Oh, my God. Thank you for having me on your show, Dr. Hotze. It's such a pleasure. My first book was called Natural Energy, and the second one was The Hormone Solution. And that was actually number 2 on Amazon. And that's when I became the hormone expert.
That's exactly.
That was in 2002.
Right. And you've written several other books since then.
Yeah. My favorite is Don't Let Your Doctor Kill You.
Yeah, I like that book. Don't Let Your Doctor Kill You. How to Beat Physician Arrogance, Corporate Greed, and a Broken System. Stacey, order that book for me. I didn't even know that was out. I've got to read that.
We'll do it.
I love that. Don't Let Your Doctor Kill You. And,
right.
you know, which is, let me mention a little side note here. When I graduated from medical school back in 1976, long before you were born, Erika, my father took me out and held a banquet for me at the Houston Club in downtown Houston on the night I graduated, July 30th, 1976. And over dinner, he turned to me and he said, "Son," I said, "Yes, sir, Dad." He said, "Son, don't poison your patients like all the other doctors do. Do you understand me?" It wasn't a question. It wasn't a recommendation. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a command. Do you understand me? Don't poison your patients like all the other doctors do. I just said, "Yes, sir." And, of course, 13 years later, that kernel of truth had grown into an oak, and we started the Hotze Health and Wellness Center here. So when I see that book, it makes me reflect back on what my father told me. You wrote the book, Don't Let Your Doctor Kill You. And, folks, Dr. Schwartz is the most amazing woman. Now, she graduated from medical school there in New York at the SUNY stands for
SUNY Downstate.
I'm sorry, what does the SU stand for?
State University of New York.
Right, New York. And she graduated there and got her MD and went into emergency medicine for a long time. And then at some point in her life, she decided that she was going to open up a practice. Tell us, Erika, what led you into your practice and into natural approaches as opposed to conventional approaches to health?
Well, that's a good question. So, in the emergency room, you learn how to take care of people when they're sick. So you know they're sick, and you know that when they need you, you should be there in the emergency situation. But there's no continuum of care. There is you're not going to see them again. And I really kind of am a social human being. And I wanted to take care of my patients and have a relationship with them and be part of their lives and, go to the family weddings and funerals and be part of it. So I went into private practice that's why I left the trauma center. But then when I went into private practice, I very quickly learned that what we were doing was really not helping anybody. We were just ping-ponging people around from, one test to another, from one blood test to another. And if there's nothing wrong on the tests and you can't put a label on them and give them what you call labelitis, then,
Right.
then you just like keep on doing it. So it dawned on me that there was something better I could do, which turns out to be prevent disease. And
so when did you open up your practice there in New York City?
Yeah. When? Oh, it was like 2000, maybe 1998. And nobody even knew what prevention is, because prevention is, early diagnosis of disease in the conventional world.
Right.
It's like having a mammogram and a pap smear, and a PSA, which basically just diagnose disease. And the idea is to prevent disease. What can we do to prevent disease? And the more I learned in the past 25 years, literally, is the fact that you can prevent disease. And if you do prevent disease, you won't fall prey to the system that's there to just, torture you essentially and keep you scared and keep on treating you with medication and never making you better.
So you made the transition from emergency medicine to set up your wonderful practice, which I visited there in New York City. Set up your practice there. Tell us about the steps you took about starting to use bioidentical hormones. What brought that about? How did you learn about it?
It certainly wouldn't learn it from medical school,
Nope.
From the medical training, that. And what happened was that one of my patients came in and asked me to write a prescription for these hormones. And I recognized them because they were the hormones that were trained, that are the female hormones, estradiol, progesterone, testosterone. But I had never heard of a prescription for them. And she said to me, write this prescription and just send it to California to this compounding pharmacy. And I didn't even know what a compounding pharmacy was. But because I love my patients and she looked pretty good and I was totally premenopausal, I was too young at the time, I said, sure, I'll write it. So I wrote the prescription and she did great. And a few years went by. And then all of a sudden I started having symptoms and I started having hot flashes and night sweats and my period wasn't right. So I remembered it and I called the pharmacy and I said, listen, whatever you send to that patient, I need that. And then send me all the research. And this was before everything was like at your fingertips. And I said, send me all your research so I know what was going on, what the research on it is. And I was amazed by the information that we had. And so I started prescribing hormones. And then I wound up working with a compounding pharmacist in the area in New York. And I spent 2 years literally creating the combinations that would work. And then the rest is pretty much history, because all my patients were doing great. And it changed pretty much my whole course, because I could be about prevention. I could be about balancing women's hormones initially, and then the women brought me their men, and that everybody's hormones were balanced. And once they felt good, they didn't get sick anymore. All the illnesses, of the chronic illnesses that people develop when they get old, is like gone. There's no diabetes, there's no hypertension, there is no issues with sleep, there's no issues with depression. All the issues that people have, we think they're part of aging, are not part of aging. They're part of our diet, part of the lifestyle that we have been promoted to do, and then part of the medication that we're treating our patients with. So our patients do great.
Right. And so as we age, folks, we have a decline in our hormones, both males and females, and those hormones have a tremendous impact upon our health at the cellular level. They're very important, particularly the female hormones and the male hormone are very, very important for cognitive function, just thinking right and being in good moods. Besides, they affect every cell in your body, and they're also very important and enabling you to properly utilize your thyroid hormones, which enable your cells to produce and use energy. So let me just ask you, tell us about the common complaints and the common age a woman that comes to see you would have, Erika.
So the interesting thing is that they used to come in when they were going into menopause, but now they come in when they're teenagers and, with acne and with PMS. And then after they have kids, with weight gain and with the libido changes. And then as they get closer to menopause, they start having, hot flashes, night sweats, insomnia, weight gain, recurrent urinary tract infection, decreased libido, depression, mood swings. So all of these symptoms add up to hormone depletion rather than to a medical thing that needs to be seen by a subspecialist in neurology or endocrinology to actually take care of them. It turns out that once you balance their hormones, they're fine. They feel great. They don't get sick again. It's amazing. So these symptoms are all symptoms of hormone imbalance. They're not symptoms of some kind of strange disease.
Well, and that's exactly right. And tell us about your the way you manage individuals with thyroid problems, low thyroid situations.
So when we first started, that's such a good question, because when we first started, we thought, okay, so we have the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone taken care of, we're cool. But the truth is that, all hormones are related, they're connected to each other, and the more of them you actually address, the better. So we started taking care of thyroid. And the American Endocrine Society will tell you that you have to follow the TSH levels, which are like useless, and diagnose thyroid only by number instead of listening to the patient who's telling you they're not sleeping well, they're bloated, their eyebrow hairs disappearing, their hair's thinning, they feel horrible. And, then it turns out that if you listen to the patient, you start treating them with thyroid, and then the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, they do well. And they don't get sick anymore, and they sleep better, and they lose the weight, and they're well balanced, and their mood is improved, and their energy level goes up. Because as you know, you get older, it's fatigue that really gets people into trouble. And once you treat them with the thyroid, then the fatigue disappears, and they can work out. Because as you get older, it's about becoming frail, and frailty is really what kills people. And if people are strong and they're building muscles, and they can't build muscle without hormones, and they can't build muscle without having the energy to do it, so you need the thyroid and the adrenal support, you put the pieces together and all you see is miraculous improvement, and people don't look old and they don't feel old, and it's amazing. And it's not such a miracle, it's just common sense physiology.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And of course, we do that here at the Hotze Health and Wellness Center. We treat.
You certainly do.
We treat with the natural bioidentical hormone therapy and natural thyroid replacement therapy. And we've had problems. I don't know if you've had problems there, but we've had problems with getting the bioidentical desiccated thyroid. We had problems with that. We're coming back off that, but that has been hard for our pharmacy to keep the proper thyroid preparation in stock. As you know, most physicians use synthetic thyroid T4, which isn't even the active thyroid hormone. They don't use any thyroid hormone with T3 in it routinely. And while that will normalize a blood test and make an endocrinologist feel like he's done well, the patients routinely don't do well, simply supplemented on Synthroid or Levothyroid or Levoxyl, the T4 preparations. They do much better, in our experience, when they take natural desiccated thyroid. And you know what I think the reason is, Erika? And, I've been using thyroid since 1992. Mm-hmm. And once we got in this, and I'm sure you experienced up there, it was a hard time getting the desiccated thyroid. We couldn't get it for we were compounding it. And of course, the Forest Labs, which made Synthroid, was bought out by Forest Labs, which made the desiccated thyroid, Armor Thyroid, was bought out by Abbott Labs in somewhere within the last 4 or 5 years. And, of course, they jacked the prices up, and then it was hard to get it. And they control both sides of the market. They controlled the Forest Lab Armor Thyroid, and they had the synthetic thyroid, and then they ended up selling it. The prices have gone up dramatically, and it was hard to get. For our compounding pharmacy, we made Hotze Thyroid, which was desiccated thyroid. The reason we did that, Erika, is because there were times that Forest would be shut down and we couldn't get Armor Thyroid for our guests, our patients. It was just out. And so I decided that we better compound our own here, and we did. And then it turns out the second pharmaceutical company that bought Forest Labs shut down or made a deal with the people that make desiccated thyroid from Portland. They bought all the product and had an agreement with them. They couldn't sell to any compounding pharmacies. So it went for about 1.5 years. We could not get desiccated thyroid. Now we can. But the prices have gone up dramatically. They went up from $225 a liter, which is 1,000,000 milligrams, went up to all the way up to $6,700 per liter, which is a huge, it's like it went up so dramatically. It was incredible. We used to buy it for pennies, and now it costs dollars to buy it per tablet. So, but thyroid's been a very important part of our practice here, and I know it's been an important part of your practice. Now, I know that you do recommend vitamins and mineral supplementation too with your patients as well. And tell us about that and what you see as kind of a basic supplement program that most people should be on.
Well, so we've been working with vitamin D, and I find that really humorous because now there was a couple of studies that came out with this COVID thing that low vitamin D
helps.
So we've been working with vitamin D for over 20 years,
right.
And our patients' vitamin D level has always been kept at the optimum level. And we use probiotics, and we use zinc, and we use selenium, and we use omega-3. And we have our own formulation for the hormone support. And we've been working with lactoferrin, which we call, it's our labels, it's called Defense, which is an immune booster. And our patients are doing great. And the thing is that their immune system is optimized. And the thing is that the supplements are very important. And I understand the conventional medical world that we come from thinks that a supplement is not okay because a supplement affects everything and you need a drug which affects one thing. But that's not true because a drug affects everything and it's called side effects.
Right.
The problem is supplements affect everything because you're supposed to affect everything. And so we're doing really well with our supplements and the patients love it and they feel, their immunity is great. Their hormone balance is great. And, we have data, these supplements, vitamin C. And we're also talking about, I was on a panel with the guy who heads the Sloan Kettering, right? And he said, well, we don't believe in supplements. And I said, well, what about vitamin C? And he said, well, vitamin C, I don't know. So I said, well, Linus Pauling got a Nobel Prize for vitamin C, and he lived well into his 90s and was doing really great. And he was like, whatever. And then I said, well, what about vitamin D? And he said, oh, vitamin D, it's overplayed. Well, the truth is now we're coming out with data that it's not overplayed. The supplements are not overplayed. The supplements actually protect us. So your supplements are amazing too. And, all you have to do is really give people the supplements that they will benefit. And we look at supplements from a standpoint of immune boosting, anti-inflammatory, hormone support, and energy production. So those are really what we're focusing on, and they're doing great. I've been taking them for 20 years.
Well, let me tell you what, you've got more energy and you look fabulous. And I just always love to be with you because you're out there on you've been out on the forefront for years and really challenged conventional thinking. And so many physicians, you were well respected long before you went into this. And now when you went into natural approaches to health, I'm sure it turned a lot of heads in New York State and in New York City. They go, what is Erika doing now? And so,
yeah, well, New York is a little backwards, as we know, when it comes to anything that is new or anything that may change the status quo or anything that may question the status quo. And then when you're coming up with good results, that becomes really confusing to them.
well, I want to congratulate you for coming up with your treatment regimen, treating people with a good, healthy eating plan. Now, have you begun to recommend, or do you use the keto eating plan at all for any of your patients, or what?
Some of our patients like keto, and some of our patients like the, intermittent fasting,
Right.
and I think it's kind of an individualized thing. I think people should try it, and if it works for them, by all means, they should stay with it. And if it doesn't work with them, there's so many variables and so many various things we can use that there's plenty of room. I just don't think people should follow fads and stay with one fad. I think that, now with everybody being locked up in New York, as you know, we're still locked up there, everybody's gaining weight and everybody's unhappy because all we're eating is sugar. And as we know, sugar is the worst thing that we could be eating. But, we got to kind of cut people some slack and get them back on track and alkalinize their bodies. So what I've been really doing a lot with our patients now is alkalinizing their bodies, because we don't want acidity, and sugar, as you know, and alcohol will increase acidity. So we want to bring down the acidity, giving them room to get better mentally as we get out of this insane lockdown. And so we're giving them teaching people to use like baking soda with water, like 3-4 times a day to alkalinize their bodies, and it's helping with the inflammation.
That's tremendous. So Dr. Erika Schwartz uses the same program we use here, and that's healthy eating lifestyle, a replenishment of your hormones, both male and female hormones, when indicated, and use of thyroid hormones and vitamin and mineral supplementation. And, of course, she recommends a good exercise program, which everybody should do. We know about that, and good night's sleep. And her patients do extremely well. I want to thank you, Erika, for the example that you've set to me and to so many doctors that you've trained around the country, and the challenge you really make to conventional doctors about the treatment they use and how they could really be using something much safer, the program that you use and I use, which is a natural approach to health. Our goal, remember, and Dr. Schwartz's goal, is with every one of our patients, every one of our guests, we want them to obtain and maintain health and wellness naturally. We want them to have energy, vitality, and enthusiasm for life. And if you don't feel that way and you're anywhere near Dr. Schwartz, I want to encourage you to get in touch with her. And the name of your center, Dr. Schwartz, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, it's called Evolve Science, and we have an Instagram handle is ES Health. And we have ES Health as the website, and just come ask us how we can help you. We are more than happy to help people. We're doing a lot of remote stuff because right now we can't go in there. We do IVs, so patients are still coming in for the IVs. But the rest of it is everything we're doing is really remote, and it's really easy to figure out what's going on. We look at each other like we're looking at each other now, and then we figure out what we can do and improve their lives and stop the fear and make them feel better.
Now, Erika, where can we buy your books? By the way, Erika is spelled E-R-I-K-A. That's Erika's, the first name, Schwartz, S-C-H-W-A-R-T-Z, Dr. Erika Schwartz in New York City. You can Google her, but what website? What's your website?
ES Health.
E as in Erika, S as in Schwartz, Health, eshealth.com. Can they purchase the books online, or should they go to Amazon?
Amazon. They can go to Amazon. They can get it from Amazon. They can probably get them from the website, our website, but they're all on Amazon.
So I would highly encourage you to get a couple of Dr. Schwartz's books. She has been a tremendous influence, not only on me, but literally of thousands of doctors around the country. And I thank you and congratulate you, Erika, on your outstanding work.
Yes, congratulations.
Well, no, thank you. Listen, if it weren't for you, Dr. Hotze, I don't know how far I would have gotten, because you've been an inspiration to me. And I think of you as just like a friend, a mentor, like an amazing trailblazing person who is there to help improve life for everyone. And you certainly lead the wellness revolution.
Well, you're kind in your comments.
It's the truth. I can't believe you blushing. Is that it? You're the best. You kidding? It's amazing. To count you as a friend is pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
I love
You
having
never
you as
gave
a
up.
friend. It's a mutual admiration society. young lady.
It's true. We certainly have one. And it doesn't matter how long it takes between times we talk to each other.
I know.
That's true.
We're still on the same page.
Exactly.
That's absolutely right. And for those of you out there who want to get on that page, that want to learn more about natural approaches to health, you can also try and reach Dr. Hotze at our office at 281-698-8698. We can answer your questions, any questions you have. Again, 281-698-8698. Thank you for joining us here today at Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution.
A special thanks to Physicians Preference Pharmacy, formerly Hotze Pharmacy, proud sponsor of Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution podcast.
Information provided on this radio program is neither intended nor implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice and is not intended to replace the services of a physician, nor does it constitute a doctor-patient relationship. You should not use information from this radio program to diagnose or treat a health problem or disease without consulting with a qualified healthcare provider. If you have or suspect you have an urgent medical problem, promptly contact a professional healthcare provider or call 911. Dr. Hotze's Wellness Revolution radio program advises you to always seek the advice of a physician or other qualified health provider prior to starting any new treatment or with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Any application of the recommendations from this radio program is at the listener's discretion.